चुनौतियां आती हैं, सामना करने का साहस भी मिलता है जब ऐसे अनुभवियों का साथ हमें मिलता है, ऐसे अनुभवियों का मार्गदर्शन हमें मिलता है। आइए बढ़ते हैं आगे। लेट्स मूव फर्दर। इट्स टाइम टू लर्न समथिंग अबाउट urgency for scaling new innovations for accelerating agricultural growth. And to enlighten this topic, I would like to request Dr. R.S. Paroda, Founder Chairman TAS, former Secretary DARE, and Director General ICAR. If I'll talk about Dr. R.S. Paroda, he's an architect of modern Indian agriculture research and education system. And he has been awarded with our prestigious Padma Bhushan Award in 1998. A big round of applause for Dr. R.S. Paroda.
Thank you very much for your generous introduction. Honorable Chief Guest Vijay Sapla ji, special guest Kailash Chaudhary ji, Sri R.G. Agarwal, Professor Deepak Pental, Sri M.K. Dhanuka ji, Sri B.S. Jain, all distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a matter of great privilege to be here today. And today is the day which is the International Day of Plant Health. And the subject which has been chosen is very appropriate. And I congratulate you, Agarwal ji, for having organized this. In fact, UN had declared International Year of Plant Health during 2020, but it was overshadowed by COVID. And we got a lot of messages from COVID that you have to take care of not only plant health, but one health, which is soil health, plant health, animal health, and human health. And this health is very important for all of us. And not only we need food, but we need nutrition, and we need also nutrition which gives you immunity. And I remember when I was born, we had Bengal famine. More than 2 million people had died, and we didn't, in fact, after that, recognize that probably there were so many famines again. We thought we had left famines behind, but COVID has again brought forward the major message that you need to take care of your natural resources. Coming to the topic relating to the innovation, in fact, Green Revolution was innovation-led. From begging bowl status, I remember being a student at IRI, sowing seeds which were the miracle seeds from Borlaug and rice from Erie. We were planting those, and from there, where we have come, Agarwal ji has already said, so I would not like to repeat for paucity of time. But agriculture is very important for Indian economy. It contributes 18 to 20%. Still 60% of our people are dependent on agriculture and around. And we in fact are today the most populous nation in the world. We have already overtaken China. And our problems are enormous. I need not again try to talk of achievements. In fact, today we are, even exporting to the level of 50 billion, and we have enough of the food in our buffer stocks and are able to take care, whereas globally 1 billion people are threatened for food security. Despite this, we now see that there are second generation challenges, and these challenges I again would not like to just go into details, but you know that there is factor productivity decline, there is decline in soil health, lowering of water table, and incidence of pests and diseases has also increased because of higher cropping intensity and our climate, which is different than that of China. China is generally having temperate climate, but we have tropical, subtropical, and temperate, and therefore incidence of diseases and pests is more. And we need to take care of them. Plant health doesn't mean just you go for organic farming. Plant health would require both organic and inorganic. Plant health would also require integrated pest management approach, and plant health would need new innovations such as those of GM technology, about which Dr. Deepak Pental has already mentioned. We have challenge of Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals of, in fact, no poverty and zero hunger, and safety of our environment. And we know the climate change is already taking a heavy toll, reducing our yield to the level of 10 to 20%. So we need paradigm shifts. We need now paradigm shifts in terms of not only thinking internally, but thinking globally and act locally. We also have to go from unipillar, which means genetic enhancement, to that of also natural resource management. So the twin pillar approach is now needed, and we have to not only think of crops, but we have to think of farming systems, crops, animals, fish, and forestry, etc. And we have to now lay greater emphasis on agriculture, not only for development, but agriculture for innovation, which are important for development. So agriculture, research and innovation becomes now focus, and innovations would require a new environment, a support, and there are innovations. And we would require support of the kind which was mentioned, that first Prime Minister said everything can wait, but not agriculture. Shastri ji talked about Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Then Atal Bihari ji, with whom I happen to work, said again Vigyan, added it, and then now Anusandhan, so research. So we need that kind of support, and we also are aware of that we have to make most of these innovations in India. But that doesn't mean if innovations are abroad and we are capable of making use of them, like what we did when I myself was associated that time for release of BT cotton in 2002. What has happened in 20 years, everyone is aware about it. But then again there we need new innovations. If we don't have within India, if we can't make it, then there should not be any apprehension and policy jam or log jam, what you call, and try to adopt, whether it is BG2, RR event or other generation events. So we have to go for it. We have to think of good policy support, better institutions, better infrastructure, especially in those areas which were lagged behind or overcome by Green Revolution. We have to have better human resource, and we have to develop partnership with the private sector within our country, with the private sector, like what we have for pesticide, seed, fertilizer, and we have to also have partnership abroad. And in that respect, I feel that possibly we have to think the way US had thought about 50 years ago through Boyd-Dale Act, which they brought in for IP ownership, right, for innovations to universities and private sector together when conducted on university campuses. Now that kind of culture, corporate culture will be required. We have to think in the context of organizations like in Brazil, Embrapa, or in Malaysia, Mardi, where they are working hand in hand with private sector. And it is not giving technology when technology is ripe at the end just to share with the private sector. It is to generate technology right from the beginning and build the required confidence and trust which is lacking presently. It requires therefore support, from the government, and we need to have an aggressive integrated approach both for organic and inorganic aspects. I was chairman of pesticide registration committee, and that time the biopesticides were not being registered. So we decided that unless biopesticides are also registered, we would not like to take up other cases for registration. And then it happened, neem pesticide came in, and then there are many other biopesticides. But then, can we replace the chemical pesticides with biopesticide? How much we have been able to produce? We had the regional conference in Taiwan with regard to it, and came and found out that whether it is biopesticide or it is biofertilizer, hardly 5% even not produced in the countries. So how will you replace? And then if the chemicals are safe, which we have been using, as Dr. Deepak Pental said, we have been importing. If we are importing soybean, if we are importing maize, which is GM, and we are then using them as food for our use, then what is the hitch in terms of not using them and allowing our farmers to cultivate? These are the technologies for the smallholder farmers. People used to say in cotton, the prices of seed will be higher, but 12 million hectare area covered all under BT cotton, and that too by smallholder farmers. So the issue is not that once if the technology is good, we have to then not enter into the issues like we have to control the price of the seed, we have to not provide support to the private sector, we have to also monitor the licensing system, which is between the two separate organizations. Now, I also would like to conclude, I think my time is up, as it is reflected, that we need to scale innovations. Time has come. Whether it is soil, we have to improve soil health. We have to go for conservation agriculture. Globally, conservation agriculture has been used now more than 200 million hectares. Countries like Brazil, Argentina, Canada, USA, Australia, all have gained. And our conservation agriculture has not reached the dryland areas to make these grey areas green. Our conservation agriculture is only to rice wheat irrigated system, which we started to take care at that time. And nobody at that time believed that without cultivating the fields, you can after rice grow wheat, or after wheat you can grow rice. Because you need that technology, and you need the equipments, and you need these equipments to reach to the farmer, and every farmer cannot buy them. So government has to think of some models. The involvement of youth. Youth is required to be motivated to provide better knowledge to the farmer. And for innovation to reach the end user, we need to bridge this gap of, and that's where the private sector role becomes very, very important. In fact, this building the what we call is motivating and attracting youth in agriculture, Maya concept. The Maya has to be now made more aggressive with the support both by private and government, and by contributing, I think, through in terms of resources, which can be through social corporate responsibility. Government has to accelerate micro irrigation. 70 million hectare area we have covered under irrigation out of 140 million hectare that we have. But micro irrigation coverage has not yet reached 10 million hectare. It requires again aggressive approach, because you can save a lot of water. The question was raised about water. You can even go for technologies which are the drip system or subsurface irrigation system, which are possible. We have to go for protected cultivation to increase productivity and increase income of the young farmers. But area with us is only 50,000. We started it in 2000 to lay emphasis as a mission on protected cultivation. And in China, the area is 2 million hectares. So this 50,000, when will be 1 million in India, I think will take again many generations. Yes, I am going to conclude. Also, what we now have to think in the context is that unless laser leveling, these would require equipments. Even the conservation agriculture, by going in for practices like in situ recycling of the rice straw, would require equipments. And then GST. Why GST on chemicals, or why GST if it is for farmer, and why for the machineries and so on. So we require to think, and GM crops I have already talked, and then there is enough which can be thought of. We need to also modify and revise our acts. Revised Seed Act is lying in the Parliament for more than 2 decades, is still not yet approved. Pesticides, why not we can decide which are safe, and why pesticides should take such a long time for registration? Why can't we simplify these, and why can't we also have single window system for clearance, like what has been recommended by Swaminathan committee earlier of Biotechnology Regulatory Authority of India. BRI Act is also lying in the Parliament, but never being taken up for approval. We require to have a different strategy if we need to really move forward and be number one and contribute 1 trillion out of 5 trillion that our Prime Minister has targeted from agriculture, which is contributing 18 to 20%, then we have to have an aggressive approach for scaling innovation. And for scaling innovation, it is not only government which has to do, private sector has to come hand in hand, and we really can make a difference. I have no doubt about it, but for that now we need to have a different approach. Business as usual will not help, and we have to think globally and start acting locally. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. R.S. Paroda. We are grateful to have the opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely going to encourage us with our future events. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. R.S. Paroda. So now it's time to hear from our